want to look more put together. Today we're going to talk about why that is such a difficult problem to solve, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for getting to work and actually creating a style that makes you feel more put together. Hello, I'm Kristen from Kristen Kane Style. Welcome. I'm thrilled that you are here. Thanks for tuning in today. If you are not familiar with me, I am a style and mindset coach, and I can help you create a wardrobe you love wearing from whatever the situation is that you're dealing with right now. Most of my clients come to me feeling frustrated and overwhelmed and stuck and just basically yuck about their style, and I help them learn how to create the results that they really want to create with regards to their wardrobe, so that getting dressed can be fun and effortless and easy, and they can look and feel like they want to when they get dressed. If you would like to work with me one-on-one, Style Therapy is my signature program. It is how we do that. Style Therapy price is going up on November 1st, 2023. So if you are interested in working with me, I would urge you to do it before then so that you are paying the current price of $2,000 instead of the increased price. If you've been on the fence or you've kind of had it on the back burner, I want to do it, but I'm not sure it's the right time. If the lower price is going to make a difference for you, then I would get in while it's the $2,000 price before the price increases on November 1st. Style Therapy, what does it do? Well, it will take you from where you are right now to where you want to be with your style by helping you do a complete closet edit. I will shop for you for the pieces that are missing, the pieces that you feel are missing, and I will also help you identify the pieces that I think are missing so that you can get dressed easier. You will shop at your leisure. Once you have those pieces, we will meet again on Zoom, and I will help you incorporate the new pieces into your existing wardrobe by teaching you how to make outfits so that you can get dressed with ease and just get on with your life and look and feel amazing every time. I want you to be lit up by what's in your closet. And so if you don't feel that way right now, when you open the closet to get dressed, if you are not lit up by what is in there and excited to actually get dressed and feel confident and amazing in your clothes, Style Therapy could be the answer. I do offer a free 1-hour consult call. So if you are not sure, if you want help making the decision of whether Style Therapy is the right fit for you, we can hop on one of those. You can book it down below. There is a link. And if you're ready to sign up for Style Therapy, there is a link to do that down below also. As always, if you have any questions, just drop them down below in the comments and I will reach out to you. Okay, so today, this is part 1 of a 4-part series of kind of an explanation and guidance and coaching on 4 things that I hear most often from clients with regards to what they want from their style. And I came about this after just working with a dozen women and really listening to what they wanted to create in their wardrobe, like what their ideal goal was within their wardrobe. And this first one, looking more put together, was hands down the one that came in at the top. I want to look more put together. Almost every woman I've ever worked with in a closet or a fitting room has that idea of what's missing from her style and from her wardrobe. And so today I want to address the idea of looking more put together, why it's such a sticky issue, and how to begin solving for that issue so that you can, in fact, look and feel more put together when you get dressed. So first of all, when it comes to looking more put together, the problem starts, the reason this is such a big kind of pain point for women is, what does that even mean? If I asked a dozen women what it means to them to look more put together, likely they can't even identify what it actually means. And if they can, there probably will be 12 different definitions of what looking and feeling put together in your clothes actually means. So that's the first part, is there is this vagueness, this notion of I want to look put together, but I really don't even know what that means. And so the beautiful thing about our brains is that our brains are willing to solve problems. They are willing to come up with answers. But if we don't give them specific questions, if we don't give our brain specific questions, it can't actually get to work finding a solution. And so when the question is really vague, our brain just sort of ignores it. It kind of looks at it as, well, this must not be very important because she's not getting really clear on what she actually does want, so I can't really help. It's kind of too murky an area. So wanting to look more put together when you get dressed doesn't really give your brain anything to grab onto and solve. So the first thing that needs to happen is you need to get more clear and really define and identify What does looking more put together actually mean to you? Because once you do that and you give your brain a little bit more of a specific idea of what you're solving for, what you need its help solving for, it can start to come up with solutions for you and lead to a wardrobe and outfits that make you look and feel more put together. So once we begin to ask better questions, our brain can come up with a formula to actually help us take action. And we can come up with some action steps to actually take those actions and get us closer to the result we want of looking put together. But when it's just this constantly repeated idea of, I want to look more put together, but we're not actually even clear on what that means to us, we are never going to solve that problem. And so I would also like to add in here with regards to the mindset that one of the other reasons we stay stuck in this place where we don't feel put together is that we've made it normal, or you've made it normal, to not feel put together. So if the thing you keep saying and thinking with regards to your wardrobe is, I want to look more put together, you are normalizing that you don't look put together. And part of changing what's happening in our brain, part of creating that new neural pathway, is normalizing the thing that we want, making it more normal to look put together than not put together. Because your brain's looking for the evidence that you're kind of telling it you want. And so if you are constantly saying, I don't ever look put together, I really just want to look put together, your brain continues to supply evidence of the fact that you don't ever look put together. Where if you start to retrain your brain that looking put together is becoming the new normal for you, that's the normal you want, and you are willing to ask the questions and come up with the answers and find the solutions to make that your reality. And as you begin to build that muscle, that style self-trust muscle that allows you to look more put together, even on one day a month, you need to make that the new normal. Instead of, oh my gosh, how did I end up looking put together today? I never look put together. You need to make it more, I always look put together. And on a day when I don't, now that's the odd thing for me. That's an odd day for me. More often than not, I am looking put together. That is my new normal. And that is what your brain then starts to supply you evidence of and give you ideas for how you can actually make that your reality. So how do you get your brain to start to solve for the problem of, I want to look more put together? You ask it better questions, because once you ask your brain more direct questions, it can get to work giving you the answer. And depending on where you are in the spectrum of kind of spirituality and woo, the idea is also out there that if you ask for guidance, there are lots of energies and entities that will give you that guidance. So toss it out there and play with it, but ask for the guidance and ask the right questions so that you can get the answers as to how to look more put together and actually take the actions to get you there. So you could ask questions like, when do I feel most put together? When do I feel totally not put together? Because sometimes it gives you more information about, when you would look put together if you can identify when you don't feel put together. And really just play around with these. Get a journal out and a pen and ask yourself these questions and jot down the answers, because oftentimes our thinking brains are so busy thinking the same things over and over again, or being overwhelmed with all sorts of thoughts about looking put together and all the other things on our list, that it's hard to really get clear on what's happening in there. But a piece of paper and a pen, even on your computer, or your phone, but I find that when we write it, something happens between the brain and the hand, and it's just a better way of getting to the information, I feel, and I feel like most people who teach this feel the same way. So if at all possible, use pen and paper and get the answers down out of your brain, out of your body, and onto the paper. When do I feel most put together? When do I definitely not feel put together? Are there any types of clothing that actually always make you look put together? For a lot of women, this is a blazer. Some people, it's your favorite jeans. Some people, it could be some sort of a necklace that actually just pulls in every outfit together, and every time you put it on, you feel a little bit better. Some women, it's not clothing, and it would be lipstick, or it would be when you have a fresh haircut, or it could be when your nails are done. There are lots of elements of looking and feeling put together, and all that matters is that you identify which ones really matter to you, and then you start to replicate those and duplicate those and make those your routine and your normal, so that looking put together is just, it's always what happens for you. The other thing that I think is important is understanding and defining how you'll know when you achieve looking put together. Because if you don't have sort of an end date, if you don't have an idea of how you'll know when you actually get to the place where you look and feel put together in your clothing, your brain is going to keep tossing out that you're not yet there. Because if it doesn't know where the finish line is, it can't know when you get there and kind of help you celebrate and have that be your new normal, because it will always keep moving the finish line, so to speak. If you haven't set the parameters for, this is how I will know when I look and feel put together, more often than not. And I add more often than not because it's so easy to get stuck in this all or nothing thinking and go into the, something like this where you're trying to achieve something new, you're trying to change a habit, you're trying to look more put together when you get dressed. And if you have sort of the lofty goal of looking more put together every single day, every single time you get dressed, then when you have a day where you don't look more put together or feel more put together, then you kind of fall off the wagon. And the wagon is invisible and doesn't really exist. There is no such thing, but we often, as perfectionists or not, so whether you identify as a perfectionist like myself or whether you don't, there is this sense of all or nothing. I either do it all the time. I'm either always put together or I'm a disaster. We don't allow for kind of that middle ground. We don't allow any gray area. And so the idea of looking put together more often than not takes that all or nothing thinking out of it. It means that if you miss a day, you haven't fallen off the invisible proverbial wagon. You have just not that day looked put together. No problem. Tomorrow you will, because you're making it your new normal, because it's normal for you to look put together as you begin to build this muscle. Then if you have a day where you don't look or feel very put together, nothing has gone wrong, because your new normal self, the new default, is that you do look put together more often than not. The other thing that you could ask yourself is, who do you think looks put together and why? So if there's a woman in your life, either, really in your life, or a fictitious woman on TV or in a movie, or an influencer who you just don't know personally, and every time you see them, you think, God, she always looks so put together. What is it about her outfit? Start to dissect what it is that makes her look put together. Is it that all her pieces work in a certain color palette? That everything she wears always seems to look like her because the palette is defined or the style is defined? Is it that her hair just always looks fantastic, that you kind of don't even notice what she's wearing? It's just that her hair and her makeup always look amazing. And you've identified that as looking put together because currently you don't love your hair and your makeup. What is it about another woman who you think always looks put together that makes you think that? So that your brain can then start to identify, how could you start to put some of that in your life? Do you need a haircut? Do you need some new makeup? If it isn't clothing related. If it's clothing related, if all of her clothing follows a certain colorway, look in your own closet. Is that maybe not happening in your closet and it's kind of mismatched and all over the place with regards to your color palette? And if you started to dress without buying a thing, if you just started to pare down the pieces that you wear so that they were more of a capsule that all work together and that the colors all coordinated with each other, and you just wore those pieces even for a week, and see then, okay, now do I feel more put together now that I've identified that this woman, I think it looks more put together because she always has on colors that work together. If I take colors that work together out of my own wardrobe and only wear that for a period of time and evaluate, do I feel more put together? When I look in the mirror, do I think I look more put together when I'm just wearing this color palette? There are countless ways that you could look and feel more put together. And as I said a minute ago, every woman is going to have a different answer. For some, it's if I have a manicure, it doesn't matter if I have on the rattiest sweatpants or my oldest jeans, I look and feel put together because my nails are done. For other women, it will be, if I have a great coat on in the winter, it doesn't matter what I have on underneath. If I've got a great coat and great boots on, I feel like, I look put together. So it's really, really important to get clear on what put together means to you, how you'll know when you get there, because if you don't identify where you're headed, just like with the GPS, if you don't put in your destination, if you don't have a finish line, you're never going to get there. And looking put together is always going to be the thing that you want, but you don't feel like you actually have. And I promise you, as a little side note, it is not that difficult to look put together. Once you get clear on what that means to you, you can start to take even baby steps in that direction. And then you will find that you look and feel put together more often than not. And that has become your new normal. And looking put together is no longer this elusive thing that you are wishing for and dreaming of in your style, but you can't possibly achieve. The other thing I would ask yourself is, what could get in the way of me taking the steps to look more put together? Like once you identify what that would look like, okay, having a color palette that was a little bit tighter, or having a great haircut, or getting new makeup, what could get in the way of those things happening? Once you've defined what would make you look and feel more put together, what could get in the way? Troubleshoot and anticipate that there could be hangups and glitches in the process, and troubleshoot that. Okay, well, in creating a color palette, I might recognize that I actually don't have any blue jeans, and I realize that blue jeans would be part of that color palette. So that's where it all falls apart for me. Then you know to put shopping for some blue jeans on your list so that you can have the piece that will pull together that put together look, so that it makes it easy to get dressed. If it's that your hairdresser moved away or had a baby and she's not working right now, so you haven't had a great haircut in a while, or you haven't had a great haircut in years because you just haven't known what style you want, if that's the thing that you have now determined is going to make you look and feel more put together, get to work on finding that hairdresser. Ask people who have great haircuts where they get their haircut. Start to do research on Yelp or on Google and read the reviews and find out who's loving someone in your area. You have to give your brain something to solve. And I want to look more put together doesn't identify, is it a haircut or is it a new pair of blue jeans? What is missing from this equation? And if I solve for that, I can actually look put together more often than not when I go to get dressed. The other thing I'll mention is that it can be two parts. When I talk about looking and feeling put together, the looking put together is very different than the feeling put together. Looking put together for you might mean that all of your pieces coordinate with each other, that you always have jewelry on, that you always have a great pair of earrings and a necklace on, that you always have your nails done, that you always have a great third layer on, that you have that third piece on that kind of pulls everything together, that you have some belts that you really love, or you have shoes that actually add a little bit of interest to your very simple wardrobe. The looking put together really has to do with the actual visual of how the pieces look and how they look on your body when you put them all together. The feeling put together can be very different. Feeling put together can have almost nothing to do with the actual clothing. It can be that you're not rushed. Like maybe the reason you don't ever feel put together is because you're always racing out the door and you forget the belt, or you forget to, put on the scarf that would have made the outfit look more put together, but you forgot it because you're in a hurry. So the feeling of being more put together can have very little to do with how you look and everything to do with how you feel. If you don't feel confident in your clothes. So, if you're always rushing, that's a problem. If you don't feel confident in the pieces that are in your closet, it doesn't matter if your outfit actually looks put together to someone else. You're not going to feel put together in it if those pieces don't make you feel confident, because that's part of the whole looking put together package. And if you're starting with pieces that don't light you up, it's harder to look and feel put together when you get dressed. Maybe your closet is completely disorganized and there is just not a chance that you could feel put together because you feel like a hot mess every time you go to get dressed. Even if the end result that everyone out in the world sees is someone who head to toe looks pretty put together, if the feeling when you go to get dressed because your closet is a disaster is that you're absolutely not put together, you're a hot mess, then it's not going to translate into you actually feeling and normalizing looking put together. You're still going to be searching for the looking put together because to you it falls apart when you first open the closet because your closet isn't as organized and together as you would like it to be. And maybe it's just that your style is kind of fragmented. You used to dress a certain way and now you kind of want to have a different style, but you haven't done the work to kind of figure out, what does feeling put together actually mean to me right now? It used to feel this. It used to feel like pencil skirts and pumps, but I'm not in that world anymore. So now I'm really, not sure what to do with jeans and booties. And so I don't feel put together. Even if I put on an outfit that I'm completely mimicking from Instagram, but I don't feel put together. Someone else might say, oh my gosh, you look like an Instagram model. You look totally put together. If that feeling isn't lining up with the outfit, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks because you're not feeling put together. So it's a looking and a feeling, as with all of the style work that I do. What we feel in our clothing, how our clothing makes us feel, matters so much. It almost matters more than what we actually look like in our clothing, because if we feel amazing in it, we look amazing in it. It all translates. It all feeds off of each other. So pay attention to which thing feels most off. Is it that you don't feel like you look put together? Or is it that when you get dressed, you don't feel put together? Or is it both? Because it very easily could be both. They certainly work together. And once you begin to solve for one, the other one starts to kind of solve itself too. But I would pay attention to both how you look and how you feel in your clothing. And then I would decide what you can do right this minute. What can you do with your current wardrobe to start to look and feel more put together? And this is all based on what you've decided that looking more put together actually looks like for you. What are the criteria? If you're writing down a list of these are the things that need to happen in order for me to look more put together, this is how I define looking more put together. My nails are always done and I always have a belt on. That it's very easy when you get dressed to make sure that your nails are always done and you always have a belt on. Or more often than not, your fingernails are painted and you have a belt on. That's your definition of looking put together. It could be that you always have that great third piece, and right now your closet doesn't have any that you like or any that fit. So you buy a couple third pieces so that when you put on a top and jeans or a top and a skirt, you have that piece you can add that makes the outfit come together, that makes you feel and look put together. So you're going to take what you've decided put together looks and feels like, and you're going to go to your own closet and you're going to start to play around. You're going to start to look at, okay, is it a belt and nail polish? Is it a third piece? Is it that I actually just wear the clothing that I'm avoiding? That I have great pieces in my wardrobe, but I'm not putting them together? Is it that I don't know how to put them together? That I feel like if I knew how to put things together, I would look more put together? Then you start to research that, whether it's in my video bank here or someone else's or on Instagram or in a magazine. You start to research, how could I put these pieces together better so that I look more put together? There is a solution, but when we are just in the place of, I'd really love to look more put together, but we haven't given our brain more information so that it knows what it's solving for, you're just going to stay in the place of, I wish I looked more put together. There is a solution. I promise you it is not as difficult as you are probably thinking it is right now, because when it is just this big, vague ball of I don't look put together, it is almost impossible to solve, and your brain likes that. It doesn't actually want to do anything with that. It's just a big blob it pushes to the side and lets you think about other things and reminds you every once in a while that you are not put together. Define what put together looks like for you and begin to identify what the action steps are that you would need to take in order to create your version of looking put together. I hope that's helpful. I'm excited to dive into the other words that I hear most often from women to kind of complete this series over the coming weeks, because I really feel like if we can get our brains on board with solving the problem that we keep saying is the problem, I want to look more put together. If we can get our brain to start working on a solution for that by making it more clear and by really crystallizing what it even means to us and how we'll know when we get to put together, our brain can start to solve the problems. Our brains are brilliant and they want something to do. They want something tangible to latch onto. So if we give it an actual problem to solve and some direction of what the finish line is for us and how we'll know when we get there, your brain's on this, absolutely. If you would like my help looking more put together, Style Therapy is designed to do just that. There is a link down below. You can apply right on the link and we can go from there. I would love to have you as a Style Therapy client. It's a really fun program and my clients get results. They look put together on the other side, and I would love that for you. I'm on Instagram every Tuesday doing a live style Q&A. So if you would like to hop over there and ask a question, you can do that. I put a question box up every Sunday, Monday, and you can drop your question in there. You can also shoot me a DM over there. I'm at Kristen Kane Style, the same as here. You can put your question down in the comments below and just indicate that you'd like me to answer it on Instagram, and I will answer it over there. All of those Q&As get saved to my Instagram page, kind of to the feed as a reel. So you can always go back and rewatch them. I list all the questions in the caption box underneath. So you can go back and research, what questions you'd like answers to. And they're all over the map, the questions. They can be about specific pieces. They can be about concepts and ideas with regards to style. They can be about taking care of clothing. They can be about where to source clothing, organizing your closet, all sorts of things. So if you have a question, feel free to ask and I will answer it on the next style Q&A. That's all I got for today. I'll be back next Friday with part 2 of this series of these words that are out there that women want with regards to their style. And I'm going to help you figure out how to get there. Thanks so much for watching. Have a really beautiful week.